Hello friends, we were talking about infection and today we'll see about mode of transmission. Okay, there are different modes by which diseases can be transmitted. First one is contact. Infection may be acquired by contact, which may be direct or indirect. Sexually transmitted diseases such as syphilis and gonorrhea are example for direct contact. In the case of indirect contact, it may be through agencies of fomites, which are inanimate objects such as clothing, pencils, or toys, which may be contaminated by pathogen from one person and act as a vehicle for its transmission to another. Pencils shared by school children may act as a fomite in the transmission of diphtheria, and face towels in the case of trachoma. And second mode is inhalation. Respiratory infections are commonly transmitted through this mode, and we know recently that coronavirus is getting transmitted through respiration. Influenza and tuberculosis are other examples which are transmitted by inhalation of the pathogen. Usually such microbes are shed by the patient into the environment in secretions from the nose or throat during sneezing, speaking, or even coughing. And large droplets of such secretions fall in the ground and dry there. Pathogen resist to drying may remain viable in the dust and act as a source of infection. Small droplets under 0.1 mm in diameter evaporate immediately to become minute particles or droplet nuclei. So usually 1 to 10 micrometer in diameter. This may again dry to produce infectious dust, which remains suspended in the air for long period, acting as source of infection. Third one is ingestion. Intestinal infections are generally acquired by the ingestion of food or drinks contaminated by pathogens. Infections transmitted by ingestion may be waterborne, for example cholera or polio, or foodborne, that is food poisoning caused by Clostridium botulinum or Salmonella typhi causing typhoid. Okay, the importance of foodborne infection, because there are canned food that is getting affected by anaerobic organism, for example Clostridium botulinum, which can cause food poisoning and even death, because the toxin produced by these organisms are highly poisonous. And the next mode is inoculation. Pathogens in some instance may be inoculated directly into the tissues of the host. For example, tetanus spores implanted in the depth of wounds, and rabies virus deposited subcutaneously by dog bite, and even arboviruses injected by insect vectors, for example malaria. Okay, and infection by inoculation may be iatrogenic when unsterile syringes and surgical equipments are employed. Likewise, some organism like hepatitis B and HIV may be transmitted through contaminated needles in the case of drug addicts. And next one is congenital. Some pathogens are able to cross the placental barrier and infect the fetus in uterus. This type of infections are called, or this type of transmissions are called, vertical transmission. This may result in abortion, stillbirth, or miscarriage. Live infants may be born with manifestations of diseases, as in genital syphilis is a common example. Then intrauterine infections with the rubella virus, especially in the first trimesters of pregnancy, may interfere with organogenesis and lead to congenital malformation, that is defective organ growth. Such infections are known as teratogenic infections, that is their physical structure is getting affected, organs won't be completely developed. Next one is iatrogenic and laboratory infections. Infection may sometimes be transmitted during procedures such as administration of injections, lumbar puncture, and catheterization if meticulous care in asepsis is lacking. Modern methods of treatment such as blood transfusion, dialysis, and transplantation surgery may increase the possibilities for iatrogenic infection. Laboratory personnel handling infectious material are at risk, and special care should be taken to prevent laboratory infections. So these are the mode of transmission. Through these modes, there is a chance of getting disease, and anyway, to get a disease, the organism has to be pathogenic. So in the next class, we'll see what are the factors that predisposing to microbial pathogenicity. Thank you. Alan, ba. ഓടി വാ.
Hello friends. Hello friends. Hello friends. We were talking about Hello friends. We were talking about Hello friends. Hello friends. We were talking about Hello friends. Hello friends. We were talking about Hello friends. Hello friends. We were talking about